It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live,
the Bostonian versus the Book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
Here he is, Matt Perrault!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, Brigade? Happy Monday. Welcome into a new episode of the Bostonian versus the Book being presented by BetCris Arizona. My name is Matt Perrault, and we are live on our YouTube and X at Boston versus the Book. Get replayed on Sports Grid Television each and every single weeknight. It's going to look a little different, by the way, on Sports Grid. It's going to look a little different. I'm the one doing it now. I'm the one editing it now. So it's going to look a little different. We got some new things, some new toys on the Sports Grid replay at 1 a.m. Eastern time, 10 o'clock Pacific time, every single weeknight. Really, it's Saturday morning on Friday, so technically on the weekends too, but you know what I mean. Audio podcasts, wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. It's a weekend from, well, kind of a comedy standpoint. My 5 favorite things will be the opening line from the weekend. There were some really funny things that happened over the weekend that we'll get to here at the top. We will get into our friends at Rabbet. I see Frank already in there. Good to see you back in the chat, my friend. We'll be back with jumping down the rabbit hole. We're going into Cinderellas today. I got 5 teams that might be worth your attention and or maybe a bet or two about what you're going to see come the NCAA tournament. We are right around the corner from our conference tournaments, Arch Madness, which you guys know how I feel about Arch Madness. Very near and dear to my heart. Bets I make every single year for Arch Madness in St. Louis. So we got that coming up in I think at the end of the week, right? Or is it next week? I think this week for Arch Madness. So we'll get into that. I can't believe it's March the 2nd. It's kind of hard to really believe this, that like, oh my gosh, we're already here on March the 2nd, but this is where we are. A reminder that if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. We got a lot of things in the hopper for 26. We're trying to blow that thing up. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube, please do so at Boston versus the Book for the YouTube channel. Coming up here for today, news of the industry. We've got a former White House chief of staff going after prediction markets now. So it's getting very interesting about who is having what opinion about prediction markets. So we will do that in news of the industry. Favorite thing about today, a little bit later on in the program, and we start the show like we do every single day with our opening line. All right, guys, opening line. Let's look at my 5 favorite things from the weekend. You know, we don't talk much about college hockey here, but when my school screws over UConn, it becomes one of my 5 favorite things from the weekend. So UConn's trying to be an at-large team for the NCAA tournament. Only 16 teams get in, right? So the tournament for hockey is very small. It's a sprint. They wait like way too long between the end of the regional rounds into the Frozen Four. And the Frozen Four is here in Vegas this year. So UMass is one of the best teams. UMass hockey, Cale Makar is our number 1 guy. He played at UMass. And like we have a quasi-good basketball program. We're kind of known for our basketball, but we're not great. UConn basketball, far better. But UMass hockey is far better than UConn hockey. And UMass hockey has won a national championship, and UMass hockey has had a lot of success on campus. So it's 3-3 in overtime between UConn and UMass. And UConn needs the victory. Desperately needs the victory. Breakaway for UConn. I can't play you the actual video. I can just show you a picture of what happened. UMass, by mistake, shut the damn lights out on a breakaway that UConn had in overtime. UConn had a chance to beat UMass, and somebody was like, oh, you think you're going to go down there and score? Yeah, that's not going to happen. We're going to go ahead and just, I don't know, simply shut the lights out on you. I mean, it's a 2-on-1. It's a goal that UConn absolutely needs, and UMass, whoever was operating the lights, just goes ahead and shuts the lights out. I can't see I'm mad about it. I can't see I'm mad. The game ended in a 3-3 tie, by the way, which does not help UConn. They needed a win, not a tie over UMass. Literally shutting the lights out. Whoever had that happen, bravo. To do it to UConn, chef's kiss. To do it to UConn if you're UMass. Absolutely love it. Number 4, USC has kicked off their leading basketball scorer this morning for what he did over the weekend up against Nebraska. If you guys missed this is awesome. So Chad Baker-Mazara was a player for Auburn last year, made a lot of noise in the NCAA tournament, and he went and got a lot of money from USC in the NIL world. But Chad Baker-Mazara has also been known as kind of like a Looney Tune basketball player. Like, he's extremely talented, but he's also extremely difficult to coach. And so Coach Musselman has had his own problems at USC and other places, as well as being a strong guy. If you're a Nevada fan, you know about him and Eric Musselman as to what he has done in his career. So Chad Baker-Mazara got hurt at the end of the first half. And when he came back in the second half, he decided to sit with the fans. That is a real picture. That is not a doctored picture. That is a real picture of a USC basketball player, the leading scorer for USC, sitting with the fans, not with his team. This morning, as you see the headline, USC leading scorer Chad Baker-Mazara is no longer with the program. They have since decided to part ways and say, bye. You can't really do that, right? Like, you can be mad at your coach. You can be mad at whatever happened. You can be mad at the relationship you have with the university or whatever the problems might be. But you can't just blatantly show your coach up like that and go and sit with a crowd, sit in the stands. Maybe in the NBA, you might be able to pull that off and you're going to get like a 1-game suspension and you might be able to survive not getting cut. But in college basketball, see you later. Like, that is instant dismissal, like, goodbye. Yes, it's very funny. It's very funny for doing that. And look, this is the debate, Ish. What did they try to make him play? He got hurt. Musselman wanted him to go. He said he couldn't go. But I don't care what the scenario is. He can't go and sit with the crowd. Like, he can't sit. He has to sit with his team, regardless if they're trying to make him play or not, regardless if there's a disagreement about whether or not the player is available, or was he cleared by the trainers or was he not cleared? Like, it doesn't really matter to me exactly why he went and sat or why he wasn't playing. You can't sit with the crowd. You have to sit with your teammates on the bench. Like, this is going back to Pop Warner, right? You get hurt. You can't go sit with mom in the stands. You got to sit with your team and just suck it up and deal with it. And then, after the game, whatever happens, happens. Chad Baker-Mazara is a very talented player. He's been in college for like 8,000 years. Like, this is another one of these kids that just keeps on making money in the NIL world. And he's not really an NBA player, but he's going to make a ton of money. So he's going to bounce around from school to school and take paychecks. And now we're surprised that, well, him and Eric Musselman don't get along, because Musselman's a difficult guy to get along with. Very good coach, but a very prickly guy. I mean, he was prickly at Arkansas, prickly at Nevada, now prickly at USC. And one of his players not really feeling it. Number 3, and this game happened before we went to break for the weekend, but it happened again over the weekend, about what's happening with the ABS system. And I mean, this is wrong one. This is wild. So every game in spring training right now, the ABS, automated balls and strikes, is embarrassing these umpires. Now, I don't know if the players are going to be as active challenging pitches in the regular season as they are during the spring training games. But catchers, pitchers, batters, like people are very comfortable right now showing up umpires. And what is happening is that the fans are getting into this because for a long time, and this is, I'm not trying to be mean to my baseball umpire friends because I have had friends who have been umpires in Major League Baseball, but there's been an arrogance with home plate umpires. There's been this, it's my way or no way type of attitude. We have seen umpires run players and pitchers and coaches and managers for, they were dead wrong. They get challenged and thus they're throwing guys out of the game because it's an August Tuesday and they're angry, they're tired, they're sore, whatever they are. They're just grumpy and they're going to throw out a player. Or they miss a call, just blatantly blow a call that you can't believe that this happened. As gamblers, we have to like this. And I've talked about this before. I want Major League Baseball to have accountability. I also like the human element of balls and strikes. I'm sort of a minority person in this. I would prefer ABS not to exist, but I do know why people are so excited about ABS coming to Major League Baseball because I want replay on all scoring plays. And I think the fairest pushback on me when I say that is, well, Matt, if you want replay on all scoring plays, why wouldn't you want replay on balls and strikes? Because I don't believe there is a uniformity for balls and strikes. I think some guys have a higher strike zone. Some umps have a lower strike zone. Some umps will give you the outside corner. Some umps will give you the inside corner. Like I like that nuance of baseball. But I do understand that the arrogance of these umpires and how many times they have been wrong with balls and strikes has brought this upon themselves. And the fans cannot get enough of making fun of these umpires. They are ripping these guys every single time they get a call wrong. Because remember, in spring training, it's a smaller environment. You can hear the crowd. I don't know if you guys have gone to spring training games, but when you go to spring training games, you can hear everything. And so if you're sitting 5 or 6 rows behind home plate, or you're, just off the first base or third base line, the umpire can hear you. And so if the umpire gets embarrassed, and there's been in that Red Sox Pirates game, there was 6 different pitches where it was just challenge over and over again. And it was consistent. Wrong. The umpire was awful behind home plate. And so when you get stuff like that, the crowd's going to get into it, and the crowd's going to get on the umpire, and it becomes not part of the game. It becomes, let's just roast this dude because he's horrible. And so if that happens during the regular season, Major League Baseball is going to have to be very aware of this. Because it could impact, how fans look at umpires, how players look at umpires. We're supposed to respect them, right? Well, if they're always wrong, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have to replace that umpire. And there's a union for the umpires. There's problems there's unintended consequences from the ABS system becoming a reality, in my opinion. JC from KC, forget chirping at the umpires. It would be way more satisfying heckling an opposing player for getting a challenge wrong. That's true. And that's going to happen when you go tap the hat and they get it wrong. It's like, oh, sorry. Because we are talking about millimeters. Like, we're talking about centimeters, like tiny. As the line goes from our friend, we fight for that inch. Well, every umpire and pitcher and catcher and batter is going to be fighting for that inch. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this impacts the way the game is played and the way that batters, pitchers, umpires, how everybody gets used to this. But right now, it is really funny to watch these spring training games and to watch what the fans are doing to the umpires when the umpire gets a call wrong, because it is happening relatively consistently. Number 2, I love freak athletes. And we found our latest. Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon is ridiculous. This dude weighs 241 pounds. He's 6'3". He ran a 4.3940. He has a 43.5-inch vert. He jumped 11.1 in the broad jump. And he reached 23.2 miles per hour when he ran that 40. That is equivalent to certain running backs who have tested in the combine who have hit 23 miles per hour. And this guy is 241 pounds. Can he catch? By all accounts, he can. Can he play the position? I guess we're going to find out, because that kid is an absolute freak show to be able to run that fast, to be that big, and he's a problem. Like, sometimes we watch kids in college and they aren't used as well as they should be used. But when you go and watch this kid's tape, and I do recommend you go watch this kid's tape because the combine tape is pretty darn cool to watch it and what this kid's capable of. He is by far the best prospect in his underwear than anybody else. Now, are there better tight ends, blocking tight ends? Are there other receiving tight ends that might be better than him? Potentially, yes. But just from a straight freak perspective, the guy that's coming out of the combine in Indianapolis with the most hype is Sadiq. Who takes him? I don't know. I want my team, clearly. The Patriots need tight ends. I would love to see the Patriots draft this kid and use him in Josh McDaniels' offense. As we know, Josh has done a very good job with tight ends in his career, right? So is this the next kid? Does he drop all the way down to 20, wherever the Patriots are going to draft? They may need to trade up into the teens to go get him, but I would say the kid right now warrants it. That is fast. 23.2 miles per hour. That is wild. You know what, Vinny? Look, here's the thing. Raider fans hate me right now. They hate me anyway, but like I just don't think Mendoza is worth the number one pick in the draft. I just don't. If I'm the Raiders, that's what I would do. They have an unbelievable tight end, and you could say that they have Myers as well, but you have Brock Bowers. Could you imagine Brock Bowers and Sadiq both? Now you might go like, Matt, who's going to play quarterback? Look at all of the quarterbacks about to become available. You could have, and you might roll your eyes at these comments, but fine. You could have Kirk Cousins. You could have Tua. You could have Kyler Murray. You could have established quarterbacks who have played the position, who then Clint Kubiak could take and actually run a real offense without having to wait for the development of Fernando Mendoza to catch up with the NFL game. Like, I trade down. Now, as somebody pointed out, I think it was Debro last week who pointed it out and said, well, in order for the Raiders to trade out, they would need to have somebody to trade up with. That's true. Somebody would need to give them multiple picks in the first round or second round for that to move up. But maybe I would be shopping the pick. I would be shopping the pick. David Montgomery got traded today. We'll talk about that here in a second. But like, I would be shopping the pick if I were the Raiders. And then I would go get a Sadiq. I would go get an offensive lineman. I would get 2 first-round picks, 3 first-round, whatever I can do to help my roster right now and not take a quarterback. This is not the year to take a quarterback. It just is weak. Mendoza could be unbelievable, but when? Everything the Raiders did the last 2 years was to win right now. They have a ton of cap space. Trade the pick. Don't keep the pick. Trade the pick. They need so many more things. They need an offensive and defensive line. If you're going to trade Max Crosby, and according to reports that came out right before we started the show, and if it breaks, we'll break it here. But there are reports that Max Crosby is going to get traded this week. That Max Crosby, because of what happened at the combine, that there's going to be a market for Max Crosby and he's going to be traded. Okay, how many first-round picks? Because I don't know if he gets one. I mean, maybe a future first, but I don't think a future first in this year. I think it's probably going to be a second-round pick for Max Crosby. Now, people are going to say that's not crazy. I mean, the Raiders supposedly want 2 first-round picks. If they get that, I mean, 100% you trade Max Crosby. And then maybe you do draft a Sadiq. Maybe you get Mendoza and Sadiq. If that's the case, if you get them both, I mean, that's okay. But like, that's where if I'm the Raiders, I'm looking at multiple players. If I have to take Mendoza, I want multiple first round picks in this draft because I don't know what Mendoza is going to be. Sadiq, just on the stats, it would be stunning if the kid doesn't turn into a really good NFL player, a really good tight end. And taking a first round pick with a tight end, heck, Rob Gronkowski was a second round pick. So like, our top 5 tight end of all time went in the second round. So I would be surprised if Sadiq goes higher than like 15th. That would be a reach for a tight end. But with the way that kid tested over the weekend, oh my gosh. Finally, number 1. You guys are going to hate this, but I don't care. My Celtics. 40-20. We talked about the 40-20 rule. They got there. Now, they lost 20 games before they won 40, but they are 40-20 after pounding the Sixers last night. 40-20 without Jason Tatum, and the Celtics now have the number 1 overall offense without Jason Tatum playing a single minute. Nobody wants to believe that this team in Boston's any good. This is exactly the type of Celtics team that I go bonkers for. Guys like Baylor Shireman, guys that you're going, wait, come off of it. This left-handed white dude's not going to hurt you. Guys who have played internationally, guys who are not household names, not the Jaylen Browns of the world, the other players on the roster for Joe Mazzulla. The defense has been outstanding. The offense is wild, and Bill Simmons is reporting that Jason Tatum could play on Friday against the Dallas Mavericks. Again, I said Easter. He's going to get there before St. Patrick's Day, which is insane. He's releasing all of these little nuggets from the documentary he is shooting about his recovery, about how the doctor is saying that, look, you're fine. You look great. Your calf is in great shape. We're good to go. He says, Doc, I'm not coming back to be a role player. And the doc's like, nope, you're not coming back to be a role player. You're going to come back. I mean, this is wild to watch, in my opinion. To watch the Celtics in the way that they've been able to play and the way that they are a team. I get the idea that folks are nervous that by putting Tatum back on this court with this team, it might change things. I don't care about your worries. Joe Mazzulla is a tremendous head coach. I have no worries that Joe Mazzulla knows exactly how to get Jason Tatum involved with this group of players to have them be highly effective. He's a top 5 player in the league. I mean, with the way that Jaylen Brown is playing, unless his ego gets in the way, which could happen, but as long as Jaylen Brown is comfortable, going back to the way the game was played before, which is Tatum is your number 1 offensive option, and JB is your awesome Robin, tremendous player when Tatum's out or when Tatum's on the bench. It's JB running the offense, and you've got shooters all over the court. I mean, this is going to be very interesting to watch. The opinions on Jason Tatum are loud. People are very, very split about what to do. But I mean, Baylor Shireman, I'm a Creighton guy. So obviously I'm completely and totally biased by this kid, but I mean, this is going to be nuts if he plays on Friday. If he's on the court for the Boston Celtics after blowing his Achilles last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he's back in March, and we have all of April, a touch of May, and then the playoffs to get into it, and Boston's going to be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs, and who are you exactly afraid of in the Eastern Conference? I like Detroit. I do. I like the Pistons, but they're very young. I'm not scared of the Knicks. I know the Cavaliers are there, but it's still the Cavaliers. And until I'm proven wrong, it's still the Cavaliers. This is the Celtics Eastern Conference to lose. And do they play OKC? Can they beat OKC? I don't know. Can anybody beat OKC? When OKC is playing their best, can anybody beat them? I don't know. Probably not. They're probably going to repeat. And that's where the odds are where the odds are. but the Spurs are going to give them a run for their money. Can the Spurs beat the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals? Yes. Does Boston match up well with the Spurs? No. If Boston plays San Antonio, it might be difficult. Yup. Wembanyama could, the Western Conference Final might be the NBA Final. I will give you that. But just getting Boston back into the championship round would be ridiculous. Like, that'll just be like, wait, what? They get to the NBA Finals in a year in which Jason Tatum has missed 60 some odd games? That Joe Mazzulla, coach of the year, not even a question. And you're going to have potentially, if this was, play this out, Celtics lose to the Spurs or the Thunder in the final, right? You've got the coach of the year in the NFL in Mike Vrabel losing the Super Bowl, and the coach of the year in the NBA, Joe Mazzulla, coaching the Celtics, losing in the finals. Again, people love to crap on Boston and they love to see Boston lose. And I just keep on coming back to saying, I will take my team in the championship round every single year and losing it every single year than not. I want to watch it. Like, I want to watch the team play in the finals. I want to watch my team play all season and then all playoffs. Losing in the Super Bowl stinks. It stunk to watch it, but I'd rather be there than not. Having Boston lose the finals, I'd rather be there than not. Talking about guys in their 20s. The whole team. The whole team is under the age of 30. They got so much basketball left to go. And the Eastern Conference is not going, as of right now, is not going to provide a ton of resistance over the next 5 years for Boston, given this core that they've got and the coach that they've got and the GM that they've got. They're all not going anywhere. Because the Bruins aren't bad. The Bruins are better than people think. The Patriots just played in the Super Bowl. And the Red Sox are going to be a factor. Now, they're not going to be a top 3 team, and they're not going to contend with, the Dodgers. But the Red Sox, and we'll get to them later in the week, but the Red Sox aren't going to be bad. They're not going to be an awful baseball team. They're going to be decent. And they've got Roman Anthony. They've got arguably the best young player in the game. So, get ready to hate on Boston a lot, because Celtics, Patriots, Bruins, Red Sox, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Let's talk about the weekend. All right, what happened this weekend, really what happened today. So the Lions have traded David Montgomery to the Texans. You guys who were Lions fans in the chat, how do you feel about this? This feels to me, I'm really surprised at this. So the Lions are going to give up David Montgomery for an offensive lineman, Juice Shrugs, and 2 draft picks. The Lions will get a 2026 4th round pick and a 2027 7th round pick for a guy who had 2,506 rushing yards with Detroit and scored 33 touchdowns in 3 years with the Lions. He is set to become a free agent coming up in 2028. He's going to be the number 1 running back for Houston. It shows that the Joe Mixon thing is over in Houston. And I know Jahmyr Gibbs is the better of the 2 running backs, but this feels to be, I don't understand this. I just, wow. Fire Brad Holmes. Really? We're that angry, JPC. Okay. I don't know what the Lions are doing here. This is not one of the guys I expected to be traded. Now, he played 17 games last year, all 17 games, which is availability is obviously one of your best abilities. Montgomery only had 158 rushes. That was the fewest, and 182 touches. That was also the fewest in his career. But he was a touchdown machine for this team. And we want an offensive lineman from the Texans? From the Texans? I mean, really? The offensive line that couldn't block the Patriots, that caused CJ Stroud to throw 4 interceptions. That offensive line. Okay. Lights Out says it feels like they're attempting to get ahead of the decline. Okay, I'll give you that. Running backs are somewhat replaceable. Yeah. But I feel like that narrative has somewhat lessened over the last couple of years. Eron Sean, hate it. I agree. Weird trade. It's a weird, it doesn't feel like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's oh my, sounds like a Matt Mullen move. You mean Matt Millen? Not Mullen. You mean Matt Millen, right? Millen, not Mullen. You mean Matt Millen. But yeah, again, I saw it right before the show and I went, wait, what? Deuce Daly's on a cruise. Good for you. Got the hell out of Dodge. Freezing cold in New England. All that snow up there won't go away. How do they feel? How do the Lions fans feel on your cruise that they traded David Montgomery? It just, new offense. That's true. New offensive coordinator. But again, that's the get. We're bordering on cap hell. So more moves will be made. Okay. So it's a cap. I hate that, right? I hate when teams go for it and they got to get rid of good players because they hit, they got to move it for cap reasons. I mean, it's a good move for the Texans. I think that's a great pickup for the Texans to go ahead and grab David Montgomery in that offense to help CJ Stroud. I think it's a very, I mean, if you can run the football, if you're the Texans, run the ball and play defense, and then you don't need to worry about CJ Stroud throwing a bazillion interceptions. That's the recipe for success, right? I mean, that I think is a brilliant move. And then how do you use Montgomery? Does he stays healthy? So you expect him to play a bunch of snaps next year in Houston. I love the move for the Texans. I don't know if I love the move for the Lions. And are running backs replaceable? Yes. As long as you have Jahmyr Gibbs, you're fine. Yes. But you had a thunder and lightning situation going on that was extremely difficult. And you played great defense and you didn't ask Jared Goff to do a lot besides, do play action and throw the ball down the field deep. So I don't know. Montgomery didn't want to be Robin. All right, Joel, I'll give you that. But he's not going to be a free agent until 28. Like he's got 2 years left, 3 years left, really, on this. No, Joe Mixon's career is pretty much done, DeMarco. That's what this move indicates. Mixon just couldn't stay healthy the last 2 years, and so that's been a problem. So I think that's the issue when it comes down to what to do with the running back spot with the Texans. It basically means that Joe Mixon is not going to be back, that he's not. But he's 29. He's going to make $5.5 million this year. And then the first of a 2-year, $18.25 million extension that he signed back in October of 24. Again, I just don't know if I want an offensive lineman from the Texans. I'm not so sure that I want that guy to come in and to be a part of my roster. I think I'd be a little bit on the suspect side coming up for that. So, I think we could be in for a very active couple of weeks here trade wise. Again, Max Crosby might get traded. Tua is expected to get cut officially this week, even though they probably won't do it unofficially this week, but they'll announce it and then they'll do it June 1st, money wise. The AJ Brown situation is still flying around. It looks like if he does get traded, it probably would be after June. So, we're probably a couple of months away from a resolution there because it's a huge cap difference between trading him now and trading him in June. But you've got a big question about the quarterback situations. Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent. Just mentioned Tua. We know that Kyler Murray is going to be made available this week by the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to let him go. So the new league year starts on March the 11th. And so once that happens, it's, then we get into free agent frenzy and the legal tampering period and free agency and everything else. We're going to be in for a very active couple of weeks here, given the number of star players that have their names in the media about either being cut or traded, and big time quarterbacks. Like I mentioned before, I just don't fully understand. If I'm the Raiders, I know you have the first pick in the draft, but if you're not going to get a massive share back for Max Crosby, which could happen, by the way. I'm not saying Max Crosby, late 20s, the Condor should bring back a haul, but coming off of an injury, off an MCL surgery, I don't know what the market's going to be for Max Crosby. But if it is a first round pick or more for Max Crosby in this year's draft, then I do think that that's a huge opportunity for the Raiders to not just draft a quarterback, but also skill players and offensive line. Again, I'm trading out of the pick. I'm not taking Mendoza. I'm taking one of these veteran quarterbacks. And I mean, Kyler Murray in Vegas would make a ton of sense to me. Again, I don't know how Clint Kubiak feels about Kyler Murray, but I would much rather take a quarterback that I think I can win with right now and wait for the developmental quarterback down the road, given the fact that we're not winning this year. We're not winning next year. I mean, look at the division. I mean, the division is brutal. Like, it's brutal. So you have an established quarterback, obviously, in Kansas City. You have an established quarterback, obviously, in Los Angeles. And you've got a quarterback in Bo Nix who is on his way to becoming an established quarterback and a guy who's going to be there for many years. And if you're the Raiders, you're just trying to find, when do the Chiefs, take a big step back? And can we be there as a wild card team or competing with Harbaugh and the Chargers? Because you're years away. If you're the Raiders, you're not looking at this year. So you're not going to play Mendoza this year. But is it worth taking him with the first pick in the draft? I just don't think that that's worth it. If somebody wants him, trade out. Let them go get it. Hey, the Jets, do you want him? We'll swap 1 to 2 and we'll take a second round pick later in the draft or whatever it might be. And you guys can go have him. Because I don't care what Dan Orlovsky says. I don't care what anyone else on the eval. You just watch the kid play and you're like, okay, he's really good. He could be a very, very good quarterback. He's big, he's strong, he's smart. The personality is there. He has the leadership qualities that you want. He says all the right things, okay? But the position is played differently now than the way he plays it. And those quarterbacks that are most successful are the ones who can move and move regularly and pick up first downs regularly, okay? That really is not what Mendoza does. Okay, he's an RPO type quarterback who, by a lot of people, they look at the early tape and say, hey, as the year went on, he got better and better and better, but he played behind a dominant offensive line. He played behind, we played with 2 very good running backs and 3 very good weapons to throw to for that Indiana offense. And they all were ancient. They all were like 26 years old. That team was so old playing up against 22-year-olds, 18-year-olds. So, like, Indiana did it right. And it's not a knock on Indiana or a knock on Fernando Mendoza. I just don't think I would take the number 1 pick is such a rare air thing. And this feels like a reach. It feels like in any other year, he's not the top pick in the draft. No one's running to the podium to hand in a ticket that says Fernando Mendoza if there's other quarterbacks like in other years available. Last year, he's not the number 1 pick in the draft. 2 years ago, he sure as hell is not the number 1 pick in the draft as a quarterback. So that's my problem. I would go, given the number of opportunities you have right now, the number of players available, quarterbacks, established quarterbacks who can play the position, who have won in the NFL, who are available. It is a very unique year, and it happens to coincide with one of the worst quarterback drafts I can remember. If you believe what Debro has said, Ty Simpson is not a first-round pick. So that means there is one quarterback who has a first-round grade in the entire draft class. One. And you're taking him number 1 overall? Really? Woo. I don't know. I don't know. It feels like a reach, and I don't think you reach with the first pick in the draft. I think you got to get something that's established, someone that's dominant, someone that's going to have a massive impact immediately on your roster, on your franchise. And if it's a quarterback, he better be a 10-year starter in the league. And I don't know if Mendoza is going to be a 10-year starter in the league. He went from Cal to Indiana. Nobody knew a thing about the kid at Cal. He goes to Indiana, and he blows up. Was that coaching? Was that talent? Was that competition? Like, what was it? But I'm shopping the pick. If I'm Spytech, the GM of the Raiders, I am 100% shopping the pick, and I'm hoping I can unload it to not have to get, and I don't want to say the word stuck with Mendoza, because I think he could be a very good pro. I think Mendoza could be a guy that really in 3 years, we're watching back on this take that I just had, and you're going, well, that didn't age well. That's possible, okay? I just don't think he's worth the number one pick in the NFL draft. I just think it would be smarter if I'm the Raiders. I'm looking to move out of it to get multiple picks to try to rebuild the offensive line, to get more skill players, to get guys that Clint Kubiak can want. And I'll worry about the quarterback later. I'll worry about who the quarterback is down the road, knowing who's available in the free agent market right now and how cheap they will be. Kyler Murray will play for a league minimum contract. Same thing for Tua. They will play for a league minimum, not what you're paying the 30 some odd million that you're going to pay to the first pick in the draft. I don't think it's good cap management. I don't think it's good roster management. I don't think it's good draft management to go ahead and do this. It's way smarter in my mind to take a quarterback who's going to become available. Sam Darnold. Okay, I'm not saying the Raiders are going to be in the Super Bowl, but you can see what happens when you take a guy who has a lot of talent, who's played in the league, gets with the right coach, who, by the way, is now the coach of the Raiders, and going and playing and winning a Super Bowl. So I just don't get why the Raiders are going to do the drafting of Mendoza, but it feels like that's what they're going to wind up doing. Let's talk some college basketball here on March the 2nd. Let's go and jump down the rabbit hole. Our friends at Rabbet, they are back here with us as Rabbet, the peer-to-peer marketplace that puts you in control. You can stop fighting computer designs to drain out your wallet. Rabbet removes the house entirely. That means no juice and no lopsided odds. You act as the marketplace. You customize the spread. You pick the team, and you challenge a friend or the public to take the other side. It's the only app where you truly own your own action. You forget losing to algorithms. You never forget taking down your friends. Check it out at Rabbet and use the code Rabbet5 when you sign up for a new account at Rabbet, and they'll give you 5 free Rabbet cash in your wallet to go and play with at Rabbet. Download the Rabbet app in the Google Play or the Apple Store today. Let's talk Cinderella, and let's talk about teams that you should be getting yourself accustomed to watching here in the NCAA tournament coming up, because they could make runs. Here are 5 teams that I think are potential for us to be talking about into the second weekend. Let me clarify kind of what a Cinderella is to me, okay? A Cinderella is somebody who can win 2 games in the NCAA tournament, okay? You have to be able to get out of the pod. And I'm not talking about teams playing in Dayton. I'm talking about teams playing in the actual NCAA tournament. The first round, opening round, whatever the hell they want to call it in Dayton. That's awesome. It's fun, but it's not what I would consider a run for a Cinderella. You're lucky to get in. A Cinderella run, if you're in Dayton, you got to win the game in Dayton, and then you got to win 2 games. So it's a 3-game run. But do you play in the second weekend if you are a mid-major? That's where I would classify as a Cinderella, okay? Let's start with VCU. They are 22-7. They have played 6 quad 1 games, but they've only won 1 of them. So that's a little bit of a sticking point here. They have a net rating of 47. They've played decent teams. They played Vanderbilt. They lost. South Florida is a team that's on the bubble as an at-large, just like VCU could be. So they beat them. That's a good win. But they lost to St. Louis twice. They lost to NC State. They lost to Utah State, another team on the bubble, and a 1-5 record in quad 1 games. We'll see how the committee takes this into account. Is it better to play the games and lose, or not play them at all? Quad 2, they're 4-2 in quad 2 games, which is good, but there's nobody really that jumps off the page there. Davidson, Dayton, Duquesne, Vatek, nothing all that wowing about VCU, about their resume, but they are 22-7. They've been playing very well down the stretch. And again, they have played 6 games in the quad for quad 1. Number 4 will stay in the A-10, same conference, but the team that beat VCU 2 times so far this year, that being St. Louis. They're 26-3. They lead the A-10 by 1 game, and there's 2 games remaining in the conference tournaments. St. Louis with a net rating of 24. They're 2-1 in quad 1 games, beating VCU. Actually, they beat them when they were quad 1 and quad 2, which is kind of an anomaly, but they have 2 wins over VCU. They beat Santa Clara. which is big. They lost to Dayton, and they lost to Stanford. That's not a good loss, but that's a 1-point buzzer beater loss to Stanford. They're 5-1 in quad 2 games. They're 2-1 in quad 1 games. They were red hot. They had won 18 straight games before they kind of stubbed their toe a little bit recently and came back down to earth a little bit, but they still are 25-3, and they're still a team that I think you have to be, or 26-3 rather. You have to watch and see what they are, because I think St. Louis, if they win the regular season in the A10, if they go and win the A10 tournament, this is a team that could win 2 games in the NCAA tournament. They've got that type of firepower, highly effective offense. They've been really good. St. Louis and VCU being in the A10, some people would say, well, the A10, that's not really a Cinderella. Okay, how about Belmont out of the Missouri Valley? Belmont is 26-5. They won the MVC regular season title. Here's the problem for Belmont. They have no quad 1 games, let alone wins. They have no quad 1 games. They have not played a single team that would be considered a quad 1 team all year. So their net rating of 55, 5-1 quad 1 record, very good. The only loss coming to Bradley, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. Bradley's a good team in the Valley, but they just don't have any non-conference games to talk about, any non-conference wins to talk about. And their resume just is very, very weak, but they are large. They are a big basketball team. And a lot of people are starting to watch Belmont, and they're like, okay, this is a team that could make life hell for certain teams out of the Power 5. Belmont has the number 1 effective field goal percentage offense, and they're one of the best shot blocking teams in the entire country. They are big for a mid-major. Belmont's going to be a team worth having a conversation about. Belmont, I think, is going to be fun to watch. If you want to talk about teams to go making the second weekend, Belmont's not going to be a horrible team. They're going to be a dog in their first game, okay? So moneyline Belmont in their first game, not horrible. We'll see who they wind up playing, but I'm really curious to see what happens here. I like Belmont a lot at 26-5 for them. The next two are 2 teams that everyone is talking about. St. Mary's. They're 27-4. They're second in the West Coast Conference, and they just beat Gonzaga at home on Saturday in the last time in the regular season that St. Mary's and Gonzaga will play each other, because the Zags are going to the Pac, whatever we're calling it, leaving the West Coast Conference. When they lost to Gonzaga on the 31st of January, St. Mary's has since run off 7 straight wins, taking up to this West Coast Conference championship, preview between Gonzaga and St. Mary's, winning at 70-59 at home, 27-4, 16-2 in conference. They are always a problem, but it's always the case when it comes to St. Mary's about who they played in the non-conference, and their best wins are always against Gonzaga. And these 2 teams will play here in Vegas for the West Coast Tournament final, because they do some insane things. Tomorrow on the Rabbit Hole, we're going to jump down the conference tournament brackets, because there are some insane conference tournament brackets going on right now in college basketball. If you haven't seen some of them, like, these teams have figured it out that, look, the West Coast Conference, making sure that St. Mary's and Gonzaga get to the conference final every single year. Other conferences have figured that out and gone like, you know what? That's a good idea. There's one conference that has a quintuple bye for the regular season champion. So we'll get to that on the show tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun to get into. But St. Mary's is 100% a team to pay attention to. And then the number 1 team, everyone's talking about Miami of Ohio. Their resume is awful. Like there's no debating. Their resume is awful. They have the 6th most efficient offense in college basketball. They're 29-0. They have not lost. You're 29-0. But look at their resume. No quad 1 games. 0. They have 1 quad 2 game, which they beat in Akron. That's it. They have 1 game in which they played a quad 1 or a quad 2 team. They are undefeated, obviously, in quad 3 and in quad 4, where they've played the majority of their games. The majority of Miami's games at 16-0, the majority of their games have been played in quad 1 bracket, in the quad 1 standings. Look, they lose the MAC tournament in the MAC tournament game, to somebody, and it could very well happen. I believe that undefeated is undefeated. I believe that 29-0 is 29-0. I am a mid-major guy. I am a Missouri Valley guy. I'm an A10 guy. Okay. So I want Miami in the tournament. I want them to go ahead and show what they can do, but I'm not there to give them a 4 seed or a 5 seed, like seed them appropriately. They should be a 12 seed. Like that's just what they should be, but they deserve an at-large bid. One of the last at-large bids, but not Dayton. They deserve to be in the tournament, not having to play in Dayton, because 29-0 is 29-0. And if they win, 2 games in the MAC tournament and they're 31-0, and then they lose in the final and they're 30-1, like, come on. Like, you can't leave that team out regardless of what their record is, their resume is. Their record is their record. I'm putting Miami in, and let's see what they can do. I'm not saying you give them a ton of, of breaks. Like, I'm not seeding them close to home. Like, you want to send Miami of Ohio to the south or to the west. I'm fine with that. Like, don't let them play in the Midwest. Don't put them in that bracket. So I'm not trying to give them breaks, and you can stack the deck against them if you want, saying, look, you're undefeated, but your resume stinks. Even if they get into the tournament by winning the MAC tournament, they get into the NCAA tournament by winning the conference tournament, I still think the committee is going to be brutal to them. And I'm okay with it. You can be brutal to them if you want, but you got to win. Like, the games are in front of you. You got to win the games placed in front of you. And that's what they've done. So they've won the games. 5 teams pay attention to: VCU at 22-7, St. Louis at 26-3, Belmont at 26-5, St. Mary's at 27-4, and Miami of Ohio at 29-0. There are others. Utah State's another. I mean, you can probably come up with a bunch of different teams you want to talk about. And I am just talking about Cinderellas. I'm not talking about power conference teams that are on the bubble, like Auburn, right? I'm not talking about teams like that. There are teams out there that are trying to get into the tournament, and they're going to be watching those 5 and others and praying they're not going to have a bid stealing situation happen where one of the conference tournament expected teams like Belmont in the MVC, where they lose in the conference tournament, they lose in Arch Madness, and somebody else gets the at-large, or gets the automatic bid, and those teams are sitting on the bubble. And then you're starting to compare. But if I'm Belmont, I wouldn't lose. I don't think Belmont's getting in. And that's, even with their record, Belmont better get there. You better win it, because no quad 1 games is brutal. Like, you have to have something to fall back on. Utah State, like I mentioned, is another one that people are watching. New Mexico, San Diego State, Akron, another one. Santa Clara is another one. Teams that potentially could wind up being a bid stealer if they wind up winning their conference tournament. So this has been a really fun year in college basketball. I think there's a lot of really good games to watch coming up in the next 2 weeks. And I'm for one psyched. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens here in Arch Madness. I love Arch Madness. It's absolute ball. If you haven't ever gone to that conference tournament, it's, I love the A10 tournament. I love the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. They call it Arch Madness because it's in St. Louis. I just think it's really a fun time of the year. This is where I cut my teeth in my career during this time of the year. March has always been my go time. So super excited to get into it. We'll talk more about conference tournaments tomorrow when we jump back down the rabbit hole, thanks to our friends at Rabbet and the Rabbet app. Good to see them back on the program here with us on BvB. Let's talk news of the industry. All right, news of the industry. So I saw this morning and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So I hadn't heard of Mick Mulvaney in a while, but he's back and he is leading a coalition against the prediction markets. He is challenging the legality of the prediction markets, and he was asked about the illegal or legal fight going on with prediction markets. And the quote is pretty telling. It's gambling. It just is. There's going to be a lot more pushback on this because I think people were a little bit late to the party that prediction marketplaces were going to be able to get as much of a runway as they got. I think there were people in the political world that believed that prediction markets were going to be shut down by the courts and that it wasn't worth their time or their energy. So now we have seen Chris Christie get involved here with the American Gaming Association and being a very loud opponent of prediction markets. Mick Mulvaney, former chief of staff of the Trump administration, is now coming in, which is interesting because of the fact that by and large, prediction markets have been given the grace that they've been given by the fact that the Trump administration is so cozy and so comfortable with these prediction markets in Kalshi and Polymarket, so much so that they put Donald Trump Jr. on their boards. So that pushback from a former Trump administration, Trump chief of staff, is interesting. Now, these are all paycheck jobs, right? They're being paid by these coalitions because they can get microphones and headlines when they come out and talk about it. But the more that we see from Chris Christie, the more that we see from Mick Mulvaney, the more louder the opposition gets against prediction markets. I think you're going to see more and more politicians pay attention to this. Now, if the government wants to pass legislation for the CFTC to say whether or not a sports contract can be legal in America, and you're going to allow sports gambling across all 50 states, I welcome that. I think most people would welcome that debate and welcome that conversation. But you are going to run into states like Utah that are never going to allow this to happen. And there's going to be years and years of fighting until we get all the way to the Supreme Court with this. And more of these politicians, former politicians and former public people in government are now vocalizing opposition to Kalshi and opposition to Polymarket. It's getting, the waters are getting much rougher for these people, for these markets. And we're seeing more and more stories that are problematic. We're seeing more and more stories involving insider trading and more stories involving war and people profiting off of death. Just this past weekend with the leader of Iran. Okay. Kalshi's out here saying, no, the marketplace wasn't paying out about the death of the Ayatollah. Well, they kind of were, because it was about regime change. And the bet was, when will a regime change happen in Iran before this date? Well, I mean, technically, yes, they just killed the leader of Iran. So there's now going to be a regime change. That's just the way that language works. So this is the problem for these prediction markets when they're taking these bets and they're taking action on these things that they should not be taking action on. That, we're a ways away from the price of soybeans. Okay. We are way away from what this thing initially was supposed to be. And the fact that somebody just decided to change the language and redefine what is. That's the fight that we are all having. And look, I'm not angry about prediction markets. I want them to be policed. I don't mind that we have more people in the space, more money in the space. I cannot tell you, almost every single day, I have a conversation with somebody in the media or somebody in marketing about prediction markets. And people will have been telling me all the time about, look, the money in the industry is going to be in prediction markets. I just fundamentally understand that and disagree with that based upon what I have read and seen and who I am talking to. I still think that states are going to have their say, and I still think that legalized sports gambling is going to be controlled by the states. I do. And I also think that if prediction markets want to exist, I'm completely cool with it. Give up sports. Give up sports. If you want to run a prediction marketplace, and the whole argument is all around sports betting. If you stop taking contracts on sports games and you just go ahead and take contracts on things like whether or not it's going to rain in California tomorrow, I'm down. I'm totally cool with doing all of that. The problem is they can't give up sports, because if they do, they have no business. Kalshi's 90% on sports. That's what they make all their money on, is sports. So you take away sports, you take away their business. So that's why they won't acquiesce and say, okay, you can have sports. We want to run our business with prediction marketplaces. And that's why you see people who are having, and it's a great point, they specialize in word salads 100%. there's all word salads going on like crazy about why it should be legalized. And they always leave the word out. Sports always gets left out. It's always like, remove sports. And we're not talking about sports. We're talking about all the different, why a prediction market contract has existed for hundreds of years. Okay. Well, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act being repealed talked about sports gambling and the states having control over sports gambling. So just leave sports betting to the states and then go do your PMs all to your blue in the face with anything and everything you want, whatever's legalized. I don't love election betting, but I get it. I don't think it's awful to bet on a presidential election. I don't think we should be talking about the words being said for the State of the Union, or like in Connecticut, they were taking bets on the state of the state address by the governor. I don't think we should be doing that. That's ridiculous, but okay. It's a slippery slope, as they say, on all of this. So let's talk bets for tonight, but we're going to do it in bonus time. If you are watching live, don't move. More to come in bonus time here on YouTube and on Twitter, X at Boston versus the book. Come over and subscribe. If you guys are watching on the replay for on Sports Grid, come on over, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you guys can watch bonus time and extra coverage and bets for tonight if you would like to do so. If you guys are live, don't move. If you guys on Sports Grid, talk to you tomorrow for another episode of BvB presented by BetCris Arizona. Okay, so we can table that for a different time. Somebody just said Marcus Lattimore, that's the Saints have released him. Do we have a breaking news story? Let's see. I don't see it with a quick view. Doesn't mean it didn't happen though. It just my quick scan of my Twitter account. I don't have it. It's going to be really busy. Just buckle up for the next couple of days. I think we're going to see a ton of action, a ton of stuff happening the Commanders, that Lattimore. Okay. So he's the Commanders are doing. Okay. So, yeah, Giannis coming back. It's okay against Boston tonight. I just wish the Bucks aren't relevant to me, Joe. So that's why I'm not really all that interested in that story, because I'm just not really interested in the Bucks. They're awful. They're 26-33 and they're trying to find a way into the play-in. So Giannis had a chance to leave. Giannis stayed. Enjoy the bed, Giannis. You could have forced your way out. You chose not to. So that's my issue with that. Let's make some bets. Just the Picks being brought to you by the Betting Pros Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. You guys can go and check out all the NBA prop betting action they've got over there. Prop bets can be found at bettingpros.com/NBA props, or you guys can download the Betting Pros app and check out the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet, which will have picks and plays for tonight. Let's start with college basketball. I'm going kind of against the grain here. I've seen a lot of people like NC State plus 9.5, and I can't push back too hard on it because I believe that when you look at this game, you could say sandwich game, right? Duke's got North Carolina this weekend. So, Duke's got the end of the year, their big rivalry. They lost to Carolina. They blew that game. They had it won, and then the 9-1 run at the end of the game for North Carolina. So, Duke is looking ahead to the Tar Heels and wanting to win that game. They're on the road at NC State, but NC State just can't cover numbers right now. NC State's just been bad. And Duke has been so good. They've been so hot. And I watched them against Virginia, and I was like, my God, if that was a game that they were going to let down, the Virginia game would have been the game I thought they would have performed poorly. And they took apart the Wahoos. They just killed the Cavs. So until further notice, I don't think anybody is in the class of Duke at the moment. Not even Michigan, who lost their backup point guard over the weekend against Illinois. But, Duke crushed them. So, will Shire choke in March like everybody says he's going to? Maybe. But for tonight, I laid it. I just, until further notice, I'm betting Duke minus 9.5 tonight against NC State, and hope that it's not going to be a trap game for them with Carolina on deck, North Carolina on deck. And then I'm going under 147.5 between Arizona and Iowa State tonight. So let me check and see where that number is, because I expected that number to come down, and it's gone up. It's 149.5 now for this. So you get a much better number than I played. It opened at 146. I played under 147.5 last night. It's now 149.5. So I'm on the book side. The book needs the under. Look, this is a whiteout game for Arizona. This is a game Iowa State beat Arizona badly in Ames. They have Pete coming back. And traditionally speaking, when Iowa State goes on the road, they are an under team. Like, they are a straight under team. So I like the under. I like 149.5. I like the under in the game. I'm going to ride the train here of Iowa State unders, especially in big games. And Arizona's played under games as well when it comes to big games. So I'm playing the under tonight, 147, but you get 149.5 for Iowa State and Arizona tonight. Most books are at 149.5. So a full bucket, more than a bucket, it's risen here with people playing the over for Iowa State and Arizona, late night game out here in the desert. Question from JC: are you looking forward to the World Baseball Classic? Of course. I don't know how to bet it though. Like, I'm looking forward to it, but I just don't know where the value is to bet on the World Baseball Classic as of yet, which starts tomorrow. I mean, I'm psyched. I think we're going to see, tomorrow we get Australia in Chinese Taipei. It feels like a Little League game tomorrow. And then Thursday we get Chechnya and Korea, and then Australia and Chechnya. Friday is when Team USA plays against Brazil. Cuba and Panama is an absolute barn burner. Japan and Chinese Taipei on Friday is a barn burner. So I said Saturday. Sorry, Friday, Team USA. Excuse me, correct myself. Friday, USA, Brazil. Chinese Taipei plays 2 games on Friday. Is that right? They're playing doubleheaders. They're playing Japan and Chechnya. Cuba, Panama is going to be awesome. Puerto Rico, Colombia is going to be awesome. Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic is going to be awesome. I mean, we're in for some great baseball games, but like I said, I just don't really know how to bet this at the moment. I got to see how this is going to go. So, yes, I'm going to talk about UFC this weekend, and I'm going to UFC, but we will talk about it. Yeah. Later in the week, not today. That's a Friday show. Friday we'll have, and I mean, look, maybe we might go get Brendan Fitzgerald to come back on Friday to break down the card a bit from his eyes. It's a good card. It's better. This weekend's card stunk. I watched a lot of it. It was just, it was a good time. I like the time that it was on, but the card wasn't really anything to shake a stick at and jump up and down and be like, yeah, this is awesome. I wasn't really a huge fan of that card coming up this weekend for that. Let's talk favorite thing about today, which is somewhat predictable. Favorite thing about today, and I just hope Bill Simmons is right. If Bill is right, I mean, Friday's show is going to be bonkers if this is right. If Tatum is back on Friday against Dallas, there's just so many crazy stories for this. The documentary he is shooting is crazy. I mean, it just shows you perseverance and hard work and modern medicine, and it changes the conversation about what is possible for an elite athlete when they get hurt, how quickly they can come back. The Achilles injury for a basketball player, I mean, we've seen numerous players, elite players. Klay Thompson had it, blew out 2 ACLs. He's never been the same. Achilles tendons. He's never been the same. We hope that Tyrese Halliburton comes back and he's going to be okay. But when a basketball player injured his ACL or his Achilles tendon, like, those are the 2 gut ripping, your heart come out of your chest type of injuries that you just don't know if your favorite player is ever going to be able to come back. And if he is back after getting injured in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he comes back and plays in March, and not just March, but the first week of March, and he has all of March, basically April, May, and then the playoffs with Boston after he got hurt, it changes the conversation for so many athletes. It changes so many different options for athletes when it comes to catastrophic injuries, because modern medicine is starting to really fast. He came back from his Achilles. This is the same procedure, but it was done on a 20-something year old, not a 30-something year old. So the recovery was faster on this. So Vinny, you're what? You're 443,000 in the queue? That's insane. I'm not even attempting to do this. Like Metallica here at the Sphere in Vegas, like not even attempting to do it. Like not even attempting to do that, to be quite honest. Like that is going to be one of the crazier things to see when Metallica comes here, because the ticket prices are the secondary ticket market they're playing 8 shows. In case you don't know, Metallica's playing 8 shows at the Sphere, and they are guaranteeing you that you will not see the same set list twice. No repeat at all. 8 different shows. I think what they're doing is 3 different shows in which they will then recycle and change around the order. But it's Thursday. If you see them on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, if you see them on those 3 days, you will not see the same concert those 3 days. That's insane. Like that's for a crazy diehard Metallica fan to come in and watch Metallica play like that, those 3 games, those 3 days in a row, and not see the same song, not see the same set list. Like they're playing 3 different songs, no repeat songs. So Thursday, all unique. Saturday, all unique. Sunday, all unique. Yes, they've been doing that for years. Correct. But at the Sphere, the difference with that is what comes behind you. Okay. It's what they have to do for the visuals and how in-depth the visuals have to be to make that thing really go. So not only will you not see the same song be performed over 3 straight days, you won't see the same backdrop, the same imagery either for 3 straight days. That's amazing. Look, I would pay $500 to see Metallica. You missed a 0 because that's what it's going to cost you to get into this show. Like, good luck in the queue. I mean, hopefully, Vinny, you get there. But I mean, it's a lot of money, man. That is a very unique, very cool opportunity. Whoever who goes, bravo. I'm going to be very jealous. I don't know. Somebody asked me what's the most amount of money I would pay to see Metallica at the Sphere. I don't know. I would have paid $1,000 to see U2 at the Sphere, and I was given a ticket for free. So that was just a pure luck situation. I probably would pay $1,000 to see Metallica at the Sphere. I probably would play, but that's not going to be possible. Like 8 shows. I think U2 ended up playing 40 shows here. So unless Metallica has plans to expand, like everybody has expanded so far. So I think the theory is that Metallica will expand because the Backstreet Boys, it was supposed to be limited and they've played like 40 now. The Eagles was supposed to be like 15 shows and they've played 30 some odd shows. So it's just when the tickets sell out, they keep on adding shows to keep demand up. So my gut tells me that Metallica will play a lot more than just 3, but Tool is coming up. How much would I spend to see Oasis at the Sphere? Well, I think my ticket, I didn't pay for it, but it was an unbelievable birthday gift from Amanda. But I think that ticket price was $800 for Oasis in Edinburgh. I think it was $800. So double that, $1,600 to see Oasis at the Sphere. Yeah, I probably would pay $1,600 for that show. Yeah, but Oasis in the UK, in Scotland, that was such a once in a lifetime, never to be repeated, never to be experienced again type of thing. Like seeing Oasis in the States is going to be much different for me than seeing Oasis in the UK. I'm not sure I probably will see them again, but it won't be anywhere close to, like, I'd want to go see them over there. Like there's rumors that Oasis will play a lot of shows over in the UK next summer, not this summer, but next summer. and I may very well find my way back overseas to go see that, to go see Oasis. But like, there's other bands I want to see. The other things that I want to. The food in Scotland was great. Food was tremendous. I'm not a haggis guy, so I wasn't really trying like the traditional Scottish fare, but the food was great. I had no problem with the food in Scotland at all. I thought it was tremendous. So, Fish Killer, why pay so much when you could go see them at Lane Stadium? Yeah, okay. It's a little different. It's just a little different. Everyone's out for the Celtics, Henry, in case you're curious. No Jaylen Brown. Like, Boston's basically punting on the game. So although Boston has won, Giannis is coming back and no Jaylen Brown. That's why the number has crashed down to what it is. But Boston has, I still would bet Boston, by the way. I mean, the Celtics have played without Brown really well. I mean, when they played the Suns without Jaylen Brown, they blew them out by 30. So like, I wouldn't be running to bet the Bucks tonight. The books are going to need Boston, which is not a bad place to be quite honest. Guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. If you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. We're trying to get those numbers up as fast as possible, coming up as large as possible on that at Boston versus the Book on YouTube to go and subscribe. Our thanks to BetCris Arizona. We're back tomorrow for a Tuesday, some more college basketball. Take a look at the games tonight. Arizona and Iowa State tonight. It's going to be a barn burner of a basketball game in the Big 12. We'll recap it all coming up tomorrow on a Tuesday's BvB presented by BetCris Arizona.